NFL, where DeAndre Hopkins has been released by the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have been trying to trade the veteran wide receiver, but apparently found no takers. Hopkins finished last season 64 for 717 yards and 3 touchdowns after missing the first 6 games of the year because of a PED suspension. So what does this mean for your fantasy team? Let's get the fantasy angle with our expert, Jamey Eisenberg. Jamey, obviously the Cardinals releasing DeAndre Hopkins. Where do you want to see Hopkins land for fantasy purposes?
Oh, I would love to see him end up in Kansas City and just make that Super Bowl team a little bit better. That's a receiving core that can certainly need some, a boost of a player like DeAndre Hopkins. I know he's 30 and clearly seems like he may have lost a step over the last couple of seasons, but you talk about what the receiving core is in Kansas City right now with Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Clearly, Travis Kelce is the leader of the pack, but from a receiving standpoint, it would just make so much sense to put him with Patrick Mahomes and give Mahomes a veteran presence, similar to what he had with Juju Smith-Schuster last year, just that much better, because obviously Hopkins is a better player at this point in his career. So that would be the most ideal standpoint if he could end up with the Chiefs in 2023.
Hopkins in KC. Ooh, imagine that. All right, of course, we got to talk about the impacts and the value of the Arizona offense. Now, what does this mean for Kyler Murray and, him and then the rest of their offense?
Well, Jacqueline, it could be a bad situation there. You look at Murray right now, the hope would be is that he's ready for week 1, and clearly there's a big storyline that we have to follow there. But I feel like the Cardinals could be just one of the worst teams in the NFL. You just look at what they're trying to do, trading draft picks, looking ahead to next year. And it just feels as if they could really set themselves up for 2024 and beyond. And why would you risk Kyler Murray coming back at less than 100%? So let's just say that he is ready to go in week 1. Marquise Brown last year in the first 6 games, like you referenced, without Hopkins being there because of suspension, actually played very well. So he's going to be an interesting fantasy wide receiver, more of a number 3 guy that you can draft in that range, but can still develop as a number 2 receiver, somebody you could start on a weekly basis if, in fact, the quarterback situation is sound. Now, if it's Colt McCoy or one of the backups there, then this receiving core looks a little bit less ideal. James Conner is going to be an interesting running back to target because he's going to get a lot of work. And even in a bad situation last year when the quarterback scenario was bad, he still produced at a high level. But just talking about the receivers, you got Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, Greg Dortch. They got a nice young receiver that they drafted this year in Michael Wilson who can make some plays as well. But Marquise Brown's really the one you want to target. Rondale Moore, more of a late round pick. Trey McBride's an interesting tight end just to see what he does in his second year now that Zach Ertz is coming back from his ACL tear as well. But clearly, if Kyler Murray is not there, it's not going to be pretty to see what these receivers look like. And Kyler Murray takes a significant step backwards, coming back from the injury and now not having DeAndre Hopkins on his side.
JJ is back with us. So, JJ, again, the question was who would be interested in bringing him in? You said pretty much everybody. I mean, are there any particular teams that would be considered front runners at this point for someone like him?
Let's go with the Buffalo Bills, a team that was heavily talked about as a trade partner with the Arizona Cardinals, so you could certainly see them. You could see the Kansas City Chiefs. Really any team that could play in the playoffs should be interested in DeAndre Hopkins. And so really, I mean, you could post about 20 teams right now. That's what we're talking about. I don't think there should be any rush for Nuke to make a decision, get in there at OTAs maybe. I mean, look, he can take his time. He can do a free agency tour. He can be wooed by teams. He can have everyone from teams reach out to him on social media and make him feel wanted and appreciated. So I don't see that he's going to be signing with anyone tomorrow. I think this is going to be a free agency tour that we've seen from a number of high-profile players like himself, and then obviously land on whatever team that is and maybe be able to be in there by minicamp.